Russia breaking news: for opposition politician Navalny, Russian prosecutors are asking for another 20 years in prison. According to his supporters, at the conclusion of his trial on Thursday, Russian state prosecutors asked the court to sentence jailed opposition politician Alexei Navalny to an additional 20 years in a penal colony on criminal charges including extremism. The 47-year-old defendant has been on trial in secret for the past month at the IK6 penal colony in Melikovo, roughly 235 kilometers, 145 miles, east of Moscow. He is currently serving 11.5 years in prison for fraud and other charges that he claims were fabricated to silence him. The most visible and vocal domestic opponent of President Vladimir Putin is now facing a slew of new charges that, he claims, are similarly fabricated to keep him out of politics. According to the evidence presented in court, they pertain to 6 separate articles of the Russian Criminal Code, some of which deal with inciting and financing extremist activity and others with the creation of an extremist organization. Acquittals of opposition figures are extremely rare in Russia, but Navalny's lawyers said they expected to hear the verdict on August 4. Navalny concluded his closing argument by telling the court, "I continue to fight against that unscrupulous evil that calls itself the state power of the Russian Federation. I have been accused of inciting violence against government officials, intelligence agents, judges, and United Russia Party members. That's not what I'm about, and no, I don't spread hate." He reportedly said, "I just remember that a person has 2 legs, conscience and intellect," which was later transcribed by his staff. According to Navalny, only 18 people showed up to court, and 7 of them wore black masks to hide their identities. He told them, "Maybe you'll stand on those 2 legs on which a person should stand when you realize that the rejection of conscience will eventually lead to the disappearance of the intellect, and together we can bring the beautiful Russia of the future closer." At the outset of his trial, Navalny called on Russians to join forces in the fight against Putin's lies and Kremlin hypocrisy, in advance of the 2024 presidential election. He was responsible for bringing out crowds in the tens of thousands in the 2010s. When Navalny returned to Russia in 2021 after being treated in Germany for what Western lab tests revealed was an attempt to poison him with a Soviet-era nerve agent, he was met with praise from the diverse opposition. The Kremlin claimed there was no proof he had been poisoned with a nerve agent, and they denied trying to kill him. As part of a crackdown on dissent that began long before the conflict in Ukraine and has intensified in the nearly 17 months since it began, Russia has outlawed Navalny's campaign organization. Supporters of Navalny say that Moscow is torturing him in solitary confinement to break him. The Kremlin claims Navalny's case is purely a legal matter for the courts, despite its portrayal of him as a Western-backed agent of political disruption. Putin's spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters last month, "We are not following this trial." Reuters did the reporting, Kevin Liffey did the writing, and Andrew Cawthorn, Andrew Osborne, and Tomas Yanofsky did the editing.